in the politics of schooling, what I try to demonstrate is nobody at all in the school business has any influence at the national policy table. They're all flunkies, including the national commissioners, especially them. The state commissioners of education, they're all political appointees. And if they rock the boat beyond a little cosmetic rocking, which you're allowed to do, that's the end of their political career. Because what they're really in charge of is not 1 million school children. They're in charge of a major source of revenue to redirect it into the right hands. My wife was on the school board of Manhattan in the Columbia University area. And I had learned that publishers remainder leftover sections of their books at the end of the year, every year, and really they auction them off at a penny or two on the dollar there. So my school district was buying 5,000 copies of the Harcourt Brace College Handbook. It's a very common sort of combination, grammar, rhetoric, it's a hodgepodge all over the country. They're buying 5,000 copies for $11 a piece, 55 grand. And at that exact moment, Barnes & Noble was remaindering thousands and thousands of copies of the same book for $1 each. And when I say the same book, other than changing the cover, the 10th edition was the same as the 9th edition, which was the same as the 1st edition. They changed the cover to obsolete the books, and then the school district takes your tax money and throws it into the publishing industry. So we brought this fact to the school board's attention that you could save $50,000 on that one decision, and my wife was reviled and ostracized for doing that, and finally told that she had no business interfering with the business decisions of the school district. So the school board was supposed to be a rubber stamp for nominally the decisions of the superintendent, but that's not so, because he was the same order taker as they were supposed to be. So misdirection, to keep people from seeing bodies of data or insight that will transform their lives, is one of the principal roles of schooling. If you take the finest textbook currently extant in New York State about the Commodore Perry and Tokyo Harbor, now I'm going back to 1991, but the textbook in those days, it cost $45, was written by the librarian of Congress, a Pulitzer Prize winning historian. At least his name was on the cover. I don't think he ever saw the book. And in that particular episode, essentially what the $45 textbook for the best kids in the school, not for the worst, not for the average, for the best kids in the school, said this, that a lot of people said, this isn't fair, not including Japan and the globalization of the planet. We ought to go over there and invite them to, to join us. And Commodore Perry sailed into Tokyo Harbor with 3 black ships. And he said, come on, join us. And they said, okay, it's time to break this ancient exclusion of the world. Now, if you'd gone to school in 1943 or 44, as I did, you would have read quite a different thing. Boastfully, it said, the 3 of the most modern gunboats carrying 5, 7, and 9-inch rifles sailed at, that's what they call those big naval guns, sailed into Tokyo Harbor, and they blew up some structure in Tokyo, and then they said they were going to level the city if Tokyo didn't open it. So it's quite a different spin, right, on on the same facts, whatever it is Japan opened the U.S. opened the nation of Japan to trade. What's also left out, which occurs in a gigantic volume published after the Second World War, called The Japanese Imperial Conspiracy, a huge book written by the guy who was in charge of organizing the records that were left behind to figure out why Japan had done that war, is at that exact moment the Japanese realized that they couldn't stand against these gunboats, but that they would pledge themselves, however long it took, to striking back and driving the foreign devils out. Now that was, Perry was, anybody have a year for him, like about 1860, 1858? 1853, thank you very much. So 50, is it 88 years later, when the first wave of torpedo planes rose off the Japanese carrier fleet and began to level Pearl Harbor, that was the next chapter of that first, and I don't think we've seen the last chapter, because Japan by itself is capable of destroying our economy now. It's true that China's the senior partner and India is the second banana, but Japan can do it all by herself. My information comes from the Financial Times of London again. Japan and the United States have been playing a fascinating game for the last 20 years to deceive their citizenry. It works something like this. We print worthless bonds, and Japan buys them with worthless money that they run off the printing press. So there seems to be some kind of equipoise between the nations. But as the Financial Times pointed out to its readers, this can't go on forever, you know. It's been tried all through human history. You know, sooner or later, somebody scratches their head and doesn't do it. Okay, at this point, I will inconclusively terminate. If I could summarize, I would say to you, let your kids grow up, and if they're 12, they're already grown up. Don't allow any of these weapons of mass instruction or others to interfere with their minds. Teach your kids about these weapons of mass instruction. Then show them the myriad examples all around us that don't conform with any normative idea of what schooling is done. That the computer industry, the fast food industry, the entertainment industry are run by dropouts. That if we're to survive as a prosperous nation, it will come because we return to the area of imagination in the ways we make our living.